Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestle News 365 here, and another video because more breaking news. It's just non-stop at the moment, isn't it? Big announcement. We had the announcement earlier this week that WrestleMania 36 would not be emanating from Tampa, Florida in the Raymond James Stadium. It would indeed be taking place from the WWE Performance Center in Orlando, Florida. Only essential personnel would be involved, and it would be a closed set during production, aka there would be no fans in attendance. We would have an empty arena at WrestleMania. Even that blew people's minds. Well, we've had an update from that. WWE has released a press release announcing that former New England Patriot Rob Gronkowski will be hosting the show of shows on April 5th, but he will also be hosting the show on April 4th, because for the first time ever, WrestleMania will now be an historic two-night presentation on the WWE Network. Yes, it is the first time the show has been spanned across multiple days. Now, let's go through the press release first. It says here, this is what WWE released earlier, about 25 minutes ago. It said, quote, WrestleMania 36 is now set for a historic two-night presentation on WWE Network, with former New England Patriot Rob Gronkowski hosting the show of shows at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific Time on Saturday, April 4 and Sunday, April 5th. The 2020 edition of the Showcase of Immortals will make history as the first to span across multiple days. Earlier this week, it was announced WrestleMania 36 would emanate from WWE Performance Center in Orlando, and only essential personnel will be on the closed set during production. And then they go on to talk about what's going on in the show. But that's the main story coming out of this, is that WrestleMania is going to be across 2 days. Now it's shocking. To be honest, the whole situation with the whole WrestleMania at the moment, being at the WWE Performance Center, being an empty arena show, not being postponed like every other event seems to be at the moment in professional sports and entertainment, is crazy enough. But with this news that we're going to have a show across 2 days, my initial reaction to it is that it solves a lot of issues for the WWE. They were obviously booking not only a stadium show, but a show that was looking like it was going to go about 5 or 6 hours, because WWE for the last few years, or for the longest time now, has tried to shoehorn everyone onto WrestleMania. Therefore, we have a show that lasts 5 or 6 hours. The question then was, with the announcement of the empty arena Performance Center WrestleMania, how do you can you do a show that's 5 or 6 hours long? It's more than difficult to watch a 5 or 6 hour WrestleMania when it's a stadium full of people, when there's 80, 90 or 100,000 people there. But how would you do that in the empty Performance Center with only essential personnel there? Well, you host it over 2 days. That's the solution to that problem, it would seem. Because obviously there is going to be limits on the amount of people because of you-know-what and because of the lockdowns, about how many people can be in one space at one period of time. So with just the superstars alone, if you think about it, the superstars alone would probably account for what, like 20, 30 people maybe? That's already too many people, with including the production staff, including the referees, the announcers, etc., etc. So that even alone would be a problem with WWE if they're going to have a close set with essential personnel. So having it across 2 days allows WWE to spread out the amount of people that are going to be in the building at one period of time. It allows them to look at different hygiene ramifications, I suppose, in terms of the mats, in terms of sweat, coughing, etc. So it's a problem solver for WWE, I would assume, because that's the direction they want to go in. It's the direction they've historically gone in with WrestleMania in terms of having a 5 or 6 hour show. There was also questions earlier on in the year, before any of this happened, about if WWE should make it a 2-day show, spread it across 2 days when doing WrestleMania, because of how long it was. That conversation really was started because Wrestle Kingdom 14 by New Japan, they did a similar thing earlier this year in January. They had their biggest show of the year across 2 days. They had it on Saturday, had it on Sunday, and it was a huge success, and it was really, really enjoyable. I think when people said, oh, could they do that for WrestleMania at the time, a lot of people said, and this was my reaction to it and my opinion on it, why does the show need to be 5 or 6 hours? The best WrestleManias back in the day were 4 hours long. They were on the longer side, but they were 4 hours long, and it really felt like the biggest show of the year. You shouldn't have to force things onto a WrestleMania. It should be the best of the best. There's no right, just because you are a WWE superstar, that you should be on WrestleMania. If you didn't get on it, it's too bad. There's always next year. Work your way over, go away, learn a hold, get over, make sure they have to put you on next year's show. There shouldn't be any right that, I've signed a contract, so I'm going to be on the show, I need that payday. That, for me, it shouldn't work like that. So that was my response to it then. And then my response to it now is, people are going to be saying, well, it's great. We've got 2 days of content. It would... it's 2 days of content that we most likely wouldn't have had, and there's so much sport and so much entertainment going away or on hiatus at the moment. It's great to have 2 days of a WrestleMania. Again, my response to this would be, why on earth does WrestleMania have to be a 5 or 6 hour show? It doesn't make any sense to me. The fact that it's split up over 2 days makes it a lot easier to watch and consume, I would say. Because most likely you're going to have a 3 hour show on a Saturday and a 3 hour show probably on the Sunday. That works for me. You have to start questioning what is the true main event, I suppose, of WrestleMania. It would make sense, I suppose, to have the Universal Championship headline maybe the Saturday and the WWE Championship headline the Sunday. That way, in terms of having the main championships or the highest championships in WWE mean the same amount, it would make sense to have those as the two separate main events on both days. So I like it from that period of that point of view. And look, there's positives and negatives to both of this. I'm not totally against having it on across 2 days. My main concern is, why does it have to be that long a show? Why do you have to book a card that's that long? Are we going to be able to really realistically sit through 3 hours worth of matches in 2 back-to-back days in an empty arena? That's going to be that could be a tough watch. It really could. For sure, I would prefer that than having to watch through 6 hours of an empty arena pro wrestling matches. But we'll see. Look, when we've seen the empty arena Raws and SmackDown so far, they've had to fill for about an hour on each show, or 45 minutes on each show, because they don't have enough talent on hand to fill out the hours of content for that show. So again, the worry would be for me, if you've got, they're calling essential personnel, so it would look like there is definitely a limitation on the amount of people that can be in the building at any period of time. How do you pull that off in terms of having them even across 2 days? So we'll have to see. We'll have to see, I suppose, in terms of how many matches will eventually be confirmed for the card itself. Because when you think about it that way, in terms of how many matches are on the card, if we're going to have this situation like before, or like previous WrestleManias, when there's like 10, 15 matches on the card, that might be difficult to do. As of recording right now, there are 7 matches confirmed for the card. Factor in the last man standing match, which hasn't exactly been confirmed, between Edge and Randy Orton, so that would be 8. 8 matches, 4 on each day. That would be doable, I suppose, in terms of a 3 hour block. There would be longer matches, which I have nothing against. And I suppose there will be people bumped off of WrestleMania. But like I said, this is unprecedented time and unprecedented actions. It's interesting for me to also consider, are they going to do this every year now? How successful is the show going to be? I would, if this was next year in the SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles, I'd be down for having across 2 days across in the stadium. Maybe again, I question whether, do we really need to have 2 nights of it? Does it really need to be a 5 or 6 hour show? I'm not sure if it's a necessity at this point to have that done. My preference is to have a 4 hour card and have the best of the best on there and the best stories on there that culminate at one show. That's the way I grew up on it. That's the way I've always enjoyed WrestleMania. I'll be completely honest, the last 3 or 4 years I haven't really enjoyed WrestleMania because of the length. I've enjoyed moments from them, don't get me wrong, but in terms of the length, it's just been too much for me. So maybe this solves that problem. But to be honest, the main reason they're doing this is because of the essential personnel. How do we fit all these people in the performance center at one period of time when we should be limiting the amount of mass gatherings we have, even without fans there, just in terms of the personnel, in terms of the wrestlers, in terms of the referees, the officials backstage, the production staff? How do we all do that? So this is WWE problem solving, I would say. I still question about the WrestleMania event itself, about that. For me, it could just as easily get postponed tomorrow, because what happens when one superstar tests positive for you-know-what, or one person on the production staff tests positive for you-know-what, then things change drastically, because we're this close to April 5th now. We're only a couple of weeks out, and in terms of self-isolation, that has to be for a couple of weeks. So there's a lot of moving parts here. Like I said in the previous video, I said that I thought the situation was very fluid. Turns out I was right. There's still more to come, and I still think there's more to come about this in general. In terms of the Gronk hosting, it's fine. I think it's a good way to introduce him to the WWE audience. A lot of people will know him anyway, but it's a good way to keep him involved in things whilst he's training to become a wrestler, whilst he's learning to integrate himself to the WWE and to the WWE fan base. I'm really looking forward to see what they do with Gronk as a performer, as a wrestler. We know he's going to be on SmackDown Friday. Whether he's actually in the Performance Center or he appears somewhere else, we'll have to wait and see. But I'm interested in that. The whole host thing is more of a publicity thing when you think about it. When you think of Hulk Hogan hosting at WrestleMania 30, and you think of Alexa Bliss hosting last year and Gronk this year, in terms of the whole host element, it's kind of BS. They maybe opened the show. Was it the New Day hosted WrestleMania 33? They open the show, they maybe cut a promo, maybe someone will come out and they'll have a WrestleMania moment, I'm putting that in quotation marks, and then that's it. Maybe a backstage segment too. So we'll probably have that with Gronk over the 2 nights. He might open the show, he might appear in a backstage segment. I don't think there's going to be many celebrities or legends on hand, because let's face it, it's only essential personnel. So you might have some segments backstage with, I don't know, someone, or they might pre-record some stuff going forward from now. So I maybe would expect that. We'll have to wait and see. Like I said, it is all very fluid. This is all very breaking news, and I would be stunned if we don't hear some further developments in the next few days or the next coming weeks as we head closer and closer to the event. But what do you think? Let me know about your thoughts about WrestleMania for the first time being broadcast across 2 days, a full weekend from an empty WWE Performance Center in Orlando, Florida. If we hear any more news, be sure to check back here. The way you can keep up to date with everything is follow us on social media. That's Twitter, that's at 365Wrestle, Instagram at WrestleNews365, Facebook at WrestleNews365. Of course, you can subscribe to us here, bottom right hand corner, or click the subscribe button, or wait till the end of the video. There'll be a subscribe button there along with another video to watch. You can also listen to all of our audio on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. There have never, ever been more ways to keep up to date with all of your wrestling needs with WrestleNews365. So be sure to enjoy our great content. I'm sure I will speak with you again very, very soon. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or however you've come across this video today. 2 days. Unbelievable. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.